Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my next video. My name is Debbie. This channel is Soul Connection Equation, where I talk about the equation that we end up in with narcissists. Narcissist A, empath, sensitive person B, and I talk about the different ways that happens and some of the ways we can think about it and avoid it. I'm going to talk a little bit about avoiding that equation. And today, I'm a little distracted today. I thought I had the lighting figured out, but the weather here has been so crazy. I'm on the west coast of Florida, and we're getting lots and lots of rain, more than we normally do. Lots of thunder, lots of lightning. And the sun came, and it's been going on for at least 2 weeks now. And this morning we had the sun come out. I was able to take the dogs for their walk without going outside and being afraid of being struck by lightning. So now it's really cloudy, and I think we're going to get some more rain. So I kind of feel like I live in a cave and it's dripping water all the time. It's good for the skin, though. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about red flags. And I've heard a lot of people online, and it's a very common expression to say to someone who's been involved in a bad relationship, well, you missed the red flags. Like that, you missed the red flags. Shame on you. So I find that short-sighted and not very fair. So I would just like to put my take on that. Because I've thought about this a lot, because I spent a long time in the last relationship that I had after I got out of that removed myself from that particular equation. I used to really kind of internally beat myself up. How could you be so stupid? How could you have missed those red flags? And of course, you know, being a child who was very maltreated, I have that inner critic in my head, and it just kept ruminating on that question over and over and over. How could you be so stupid? And that was not helpful at all. I don't have an answer to that. I don't think I'm stupid. So what is it? You know, what does that mean, missing red flags? The way I see it is that when we're children who have been abused from the time we can remember and from before the time we could talk, our brains, our attachments to people, our emotional field is a lot different than other people's. And the main thing, though, that happens is that the structures in our brain, in our limbic system, that allow us to grow, develop emotionally, just like we develop as children physically, how our structures develop, our jaws, our teeth, our legs lengthen, our limbs become longer, we grow. Our emotional brain has to do the same thing. And the emotional limbic part of the brain is you know, kind of in the back from the brainstem up here. And the front, of course, has other structures, one of them being the prefrontal cortex, which is where our logical thinking is. And this limbic part of our brain has been trapped in fear. It shrinks the amygdala. It causes reactions that other people don't have. And we have I had a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear because I had to keep myself safe, and I was ill-equipped to do that because I was a child. And my brain doesn't tell me the warning signals that other people's brains would. because the patterns of behavior that a narcissist may exhibit in a relationship with you they felt very familiar to me. That was just familiar. And my brain knew what to do with that. But the literal structures in your brain, like the amygdala, changed. They atrophy, they change. So we don't have the same strength in our emotional structures of the brain that people who were not abused have. So they develop. Here's another one of those funny little drawings that they gave me at the VA. Let me show you. And you can pause it if you like. But we have the hippocampus, the amygdala, the thalamus, the corpus callosum, the hypothalamus. The limbic system includes those structures as well as the pituitary. And this is our autonomic functions in the brainstem. It's connected to that. And this emotional brain, this limbic brain, develops in people, in mammals from birth. And because we were very maltreated, we did not get normal, functional brain development. And mostly that part of our brain goes into survival mode, so it's really focused on that because that's its job. Its job is to keep us surviving. The prefrontal cortex, this part, is our rational brain, and it's fully developed when we're about 25 or 26 years old. That's where we learn about logic and being organized. Our sequential abilities come from that. Thoughtfulness, judgment, wisdom, decision making, big part of this. And that we're supposed to develop the prefrontal cortex in the frontal lobe, so that we're grown-ups. We grow up, and we have, after about the age of 25 or 26, we have a grown-up self in that logical brain. But those of us who have childhood PTSD, who have complex PTSD, that is not the case. So I really wish people would stop telling us that we are stupid because we miss the red flags. We can't process red flags the way everybody else does. And I think everyone, actually, even if your brain is completely normal and you have a very normal, stable attachment system to other people, they still get fooled. People get fooled by con artists every single day. And I mostly think of narcissists and narcissistic people as con artists, sociopaths. People get fooled by psychopaths, sociopaths. Happens a lot. I read this article one time that was talking about the number of CEOs in corporate areas that are actually sociopaths. It was pretty interesting. So when you're in survival mode, your emotional brain is pretty much in charge, and that prefrontal cortex with all of this organized, logical, sequential information just goes offline. It's really hard to access it. So no, you're probably not going to see the red flags. Your brain doesn't see it. It's like being deaf and you don't have your hearing aids in. That's how I see it. And we do this because the one thing that our brain is in charge of is the biology of our survival. And there's a whole bunch of chemicals mixed in there and all that, but I didn't really want to go into that. I just wanted to really make it clear that we're not stupid for missing red flags. And the way I've dealt with that, it's been a 4-year battle. It's part of that inner critic that goes on. But every time I start to think how stupid I was for missing the red flags, I just kind of get out this little drawing that I have, and I have notes on there, and I look at it, and I do some reading about the biology in my brain and what happened to it because of the abuse, and that gets me back on track, because I certainly don't want to spend my time ruminating about feeling stupid because I got into a relationship with a narcissist. When you grow up with them, you're really at a high level of risk. And people say, well, you grew up that way, then you should know better. And that is so the opposite of how our brains work. That is really a very ignorant and very unfair statement. So the two phrases I think of are, number one, I can be my own hero, and I can silence that inner critic. I can silence that narcissistic voice. And number two, I choose me. I choose myself every single time. And I do not want to treat myself, this beautiful, lovely self that I have, the way I have been treated as a child and as an adult. And those things really help me get me back on track, get me continually moving forward, because really, like I said in my last video, I really want to wake up every morning and think, you know, I love myself unconditionally. And I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And if any of you are David Bowie fans, he has a great song that's called Heroes. And that's the other thing I do. I listen to that song, and I have a playlist that I put on my channel. It's called Healing Music, and that song and a couple other ones are in there if you'd like to listen to it. Just be our own hero. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. I'm really enjoying making these videos. It's helping me a lot. It's just helping me to get all these thoughts down, because I feel like they've been inside me, all the studying I've done and the therapies I've done, and I like sharing it, and I appreciate you being here. Okay, till next one. Bye.